Oh, all right, I'm going. I am going. Today, looking a little squinty here. Today is all about keeping it real and being real. And I feel really called. Like, today is one of those moments where I feel like it's really actually important for me to be capturing this in the moment, like as it's happening. And, like, I just have. It's really hard to be real. It's really hard to be truthful about our experiences. And so, like, today is one of those days where it's just hard. Like, so I'm coming up, I've crossed some big edges over the past week or two. Oh, there's a bee on me. Okay. Hey, nature. Okay. Mhm. Fun things always happen when I do videos outdoors. Okay, I moved now. Um, See, it's all about being in the moment. So today, it just like so it hit me. I've come up against some really big edges in the last couple weeks, and um, there are some things I'm committed to changing in my life that are enormous, and they require a lot of energy. And um, it's really important to take time. What am I trying to say here? Um, it's really important to be real with yourself about where you're at and to take time to honor it. So, what do I want to say about being real? Well, why don't I start by being real about what's here now? So, I'm really tired. I'm really weary. And in part I don't feel like I deserve to be tired or weary. Um, and yet I'm on the cusp of really big change and some courageous action and some big telling of truth. And so it makes sense actually that I'm just wiped out. I'm tired. And I just like I want for all people who are I don't ever want any like what I want is for people to not shy away or to lack courage to make big changes in their life because they're afraid of the emotions it will create or the suffering or the pain or the fatigue or whatever. Um, and so that's okay, so that's it. It's really important that we cultivate an attitude of being able to be with what's here now and be real. Even if being real means I'm crying or like I'm talking like this because I'm really tired. Um, it's not about like it's not about running away from it. It's not about wallowing in it, right? Like of course we don't want to like pity ourselves. Of course we don't want to deny it. But we do need to practice a space of being with it. And I have a lot of days like this, and it's okay. It's part of the process. I had a trigger yesterday with somebody like, somebody told me I should go volunteer and help people who were like worse off than me. And I was like, you can't be with my pain right now. You're making me wrong in my pain because you think that I should be done grieving or that I shouldn't be sad about what I'm trying to do, or I don't even know. And it was so frustrating. And volunteering is such a great thing to do, but right now I'm trying to do something that requires a lot of me. And it's okay. It's okay for me to be exactly as I am right now, as long as I'm being honest and um, and I'm facing it and I'm moving through it forward. So a lot of it is like what I'm learning is that a lot of like going through change and transition, it's like this practice of this dance between being still and being and keeping things moving. So it's so funny because like I keep coming up against these edges and I'm like, oh, like, oh, I'm doing so great. And I get really excited and my ego kicks in and I'm like, I think I'm almost on the other side, like whatever that means. Like, oh, I think it's like I'm ready to really create my life now. I'm ready to like move forward, firing on all cylinders. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. I'm still here in this like in between space. This space of like, so I do actually want to share that. Um, there's like this feeling and this emotion in the in-between time of transition, and it's really like all it is it's like it's that time where we aren't quite fully formed yet. So I'm still playing with this idea of formlessness, like, and it serves a purpose and we get to be here. And I think the reason I'm part of the reason I'm still here is because I haven't learned to just be with it as it is and have the attitude that I get to be here and that there's a real gift for me, not just now, but for the rest of my life. And so, like, it's a weird, like, it's just a really weird space to be in sometimes. And I have these moments of clarity, but a lot of it is just, you just feel lost and confused. And it's like you're waiting, it's like you're just in this purgatory space of waiting to be somewhere else. And that's not what it's about. So there's this really amazing poem by John O'Donohue that I've been reading called For the Interim Time. And I think he captures it so well, what it feels like. Like, I'm not even going to try to articulate it because he just nailed it so well. And he says, I'm just reading excerpts of it. No place looks like itself. You are in this time of the interim. Everything here seems withheld. The path you took to get here is washed out. The way forward is still concealed from you. The old is not old enough to have died away. The new is still too young to be born. You can't lay claim to anything. Preach it, brother. Preach it. And you know you have to make your own way through. So what I love about his words is that it really captures this like this space of frustration where it's like you're just like, oh, for the love of God, like, are we done here yet? In fact, it kind of reminds me of like I'm thinking about Groundhog Day and how the movie Groundhog Day, and how he's trying to get out, like he's trying to break out, he's trying to like be done with this day. And like no matter what he does, so he tries all these different strategies and approaches, and it kind of feels like that in some regards. I feel like I'm doing Groundhog Day with transition time, and it's like, am I not done with this space of like, I just like, there's nothing here. Like, I mean, there's so much here, and the paradox is there's also nothing here. And what I'm realizing is that until I make my peace, and I love how I'm so weary, but now that I'm like in this video and talking about it, I'm suddenly energized sharing my learnings. It's like there's something. I'm not leaving this time and space until I learn a lot of lessons. And yeah. And part of that is that the transition time, and oh, by the way, I'm like super distracted today, and we're just gonna sit with that too. Like that's just great, because that's kind of what it feels like here too. Like sometimes I'm very focused, and sometimes it's like, wow, like there's just a lot in the space for me. What I want to say here about like, and you know what? Okay, here's what I want to say here. Because in my level 1, like I'm going into my ego and I'm doing such a bad job at this video. Like I can't even, like, I'm not doing anything productive in my life. I'm not even doing this video well. And like that's part of keeping it real. Like that's part of like being with where I am, and like part of the gift of this time is sitting with all of this. Like there's nothing else to be doing. So one of the huge gifts of transition time is if you're really sitting with yourself and and are tuned in and aware of what's going on, you notice everything. And I know that one of the things that I'm here like learning, like it is my thing to learn in this time, is to get over myself. Like I have all these hangups about needing to be accomplished. Like this is my strength, right? Like being great at things, like getting things done, achieving. And what I need to learn here, and I'm not exiting this time until I have really truly learned it, and not just learned it like phoning it in, like, oh yeah, I know I need to learn that, but actually have felt it over and over and had a chance to embody it in my whole mind, heart, spirit, so that it is like reworked my neural pathways and changed, like truly shifted my behavior. I have to get to rock bottom. I have to get to the place of rock bottom in myself around achievement where I'm like, I, um, where I can just see painful, like, I'm painfully aware of how much I yearn to be seen as successful and productive and helpful and of service and really good at things. Like, I'm the best at what I do. And I'm still so attached to it. I'm so attached to it. And that's what I have to surrender here. And it takes time. Like it takes time to build your new self. And so I guess today what I'm celebrating is my ability to really be with myself as I am and to see these things and to know that my freedom and my living my life to its greatest purpose comes from sitting with these things and freeing myself from them. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to like do great work and be of service, but my ego is really attached to them. So what I need to do is get to the place where I'm cool with people seeing me super real. Perhaps what I would describe as a hot mess or just, like not handling my stuff or not being on top of things, not having a job or doing work or earning money or any of that. Like getting to the place where I'm cool with that. And I see my value transcends all of that. Um, and I have to do that if I'm going to really truly love the rest of the world, is what